there's a good chance that Kim won't hit that big red button. But there is a plausible chance that you might hit that big red button on your computer. Hitting that subscribe button means a lot and will really help the channel out. So if you enjoy the video, it would mean a lot. Anyways, on with the video. Hey, hold on. What's been going on in North Korea lately? North Korea, or the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is a nation I'm sure you're familiar with in some way. Yet many people take the news at surface level and don't dig into what's really going on in the country. Welcome to your one-stop shop where I'll brief you on everything you need to know about the Hermit Kingdom. After the Russo-Japanese War, when the Japanese won, the Koreans began to get their first taste of Japanese occupation. In 1905, they were made a protectorate of Japan. Occupied fully by Japan in 1910, the Japanese were brutal conquerors of the peninsula. Japan worked to wipe out Korean culture, language, and history, and to civilize the Koreans by Japanese way of life. This came in the forms of banning people from speaking Korean, promoting loyalty to the emperor, and burning writings of Korean history. To be expected, the Koreans didn't like that very much. Yet they would have to endure 35 years of hardship until, looks like I have the power of the sun harnessed. Are you sure it'll work? Only one way to find out. Okay, fine, I surrendered. After the Second World War, Korea existed as a unified peninsula under a provisional government called the People's Republic of Korea. And like every piece of land after World War II, it's mine. No, mine. It's mine. I want it. You can't have it. The peninsula was controlled for 3 years. The north received the military occupation of the Soviets, the south with the Americans. Also, fun fact, during this time, the anthem of the Koreas, called Egukka, went to the tune of Auld Lang Syne. That's the New Year's song if you didn't know. The new one that we have today was adopted in 1948 by President Syngman Rhee. Speaking of Syngman Rhee, the year is now 1948 and the First Republic of Korea emerged as an independent country. A month later, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea would join the party. The Soviets installed Kim Il-sung as the leader of the North. Remember that name, he's a pretty big deal there. Kim began wanting Stalin's support for an invasion in March 1949, traveling to Moscow to attempt to persuade him. It went like this. Hey Stalin, so you think you're ready for a war? Go get the South? I don't know, I'm still on the fence. Come back to me later and we'll talk. So what about now? Okay, so basically China won their civil war, we finally have a nuke, and the US is pulling troops out of Korea. If the US didn't intervene in China, why would they even bother intervening in Korea? Wait, so can I go to war, or let me check with Mao first.
Hello, this is Mao Zedong.
Hey Mao, Kim wants to go invade South Korea.
Oh great, that asshole?
Yeah, I know he's annoying, but I think it could really be what we need to get a leg up on the US. I'll only let him invade if you can give him backup though.
Screw it, I'm on board.
Go get him, bud. On June 25th, 1950, they punched across the 38th parallel. By September, they would push all the way down to Busan in South Korea. It was an incredible offense, and in just 3 months, UN forces finally came to aid the struggling South. In 1 month, they punched back to the 38th parallel, and by November, they had pushed all the way to the Chinese border. However, just as Mao had promised, China would get involved if the North needed reinforcements. In December, they were right back where they started, and the front stabilized here for the rest of the war. After the war, the South's leader, still Syngman Rhee, tried to cement his power in government. Hey guys, so now that we have control of Parliament, can I please get rid of these pesky term limits?
Why not?
Of course. This seems perfect. Wow, would you look at that? I won the election in a landslide. This is nonsense! You're a northern spy! What? I'm not sure I hear anything. Okay guys, take him out. Wow, I got a landslide win in another election? These people must love me. I think I've ruled enough. You guys have fun now. Korea went through several different governments until 1987, when we finally got the one around today, with an elected democratic government and free market economy. The North, however, is where our story diverges. The North follows an ideology called Juche, which in short means self-reliance, autonomy, and independence. It believes that man is in control of his own destiny, if you ignore the fact that the government is technically in control of literally everything, and that if we all stand independent, true socialism can be achieved. The country is an atheist state, however their leaders are revered as gods among us. Religion is strictly monitored by the state, and freedom of religion is nearly non-existent. The people believe that the Kim dynasty cannot defecate, created hangover-free alcohol, wrote more than 1,500 books, set a worldwide fashion trend, and were born under double rainbows. Just to give you a taste of the cult of personality this nation has. The economy of North Korea has a GDP of under $26 billion. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, foreign trade deteriorated, and the nuclear weapons program slapped further sanctions on the isolated regime. The country's largest exports are coal briquettes, iron ores and concentrates, and mollusks. Now that I'm hoping you know the basics of the nation, where it came from, how it split, and what it's doing now, we can dive into more relevant topics.
Now, one thing that should be known about nuclear weapons, and especially with North Korea, is that Kim is not going to use them. Of course, news companies will say that he's a threat, and of course, headlines saying, "Crazy man wants to nuke America," will get exponential clicks over some Asian country has a nuclear deterrent. The program began when the USSR refused to help the Koreans develop the bomb. The Soviets, however, did establish a peaceful nuclear energy program in the nation. The same happened with China after they finally got their nukes. In 2020, the nation has completed 6 tests and has an estimated arsenal of 40 bombs. This is on top of the great stockpiles of chemical and biological weapons they have accumulated over time. Kim Jong-un has one thing on his mind that he will do anything for, and that is to stay in power. Now, of course, he does this by launching missiles at Japan and the US, but hey, can't a guy have a little fun? Kim holds power in a very backwards nation, with barely anything for the people to do aside from laboring in field all day, trying to feed themselves. And Kim sees this as a good thing. Mr. Un, your citizens can't seem to even feed themselves. What do you think we should do? Nothing. Wait, what? I said nothing. But sir, they'll die. A weak population cannot revolt. Not gonna lie, that's messed up, man. Now, Kim has got his hands on the ultimate thing that will preserve his regime. A nuclear bomb. Having this weapon is the ultimate shutdown from anyone trying to declare war on you, just as it is with India, Pakistan, China, Israel, and now that he's got the bomb, he's not stupid enough to actually go ahead and lob it at America or South Korea and hope for the best, right? And yes, you'd be right. He is clear, concise, and honestly a genius, but we'll get to that a little later. He's also not stupid enough to get rid of it. Kim saw what happened in Libya and Iraq when their leaders surrendered their weapons of mass destruction to the West. They were promptly removed from power. And of course, Kim really likes his power. All you should know now is that North Korea has bombs, they are for deterrence, yet they will always be threatening with them, and for a good reason.
As I'm sure you're aware, the South is far more advanced in nearly every way of life compared to the North. Double the population, 10 more years of life expectancy, and a GDP 54 times larger. The whole shebang. Now the South is led by a man named Jae-In. He came into office in 2017 and will leave the next year. This man has been an interesting game changer when it comes to the relations with the North. Moon, though a very clear fan of the US military alliance with Korea, has appeared to be giving into what the North wants, without the North doing much in return, aside from fulfilling empty promises. In September 2018, Moon met with Kim Jong-un, an incredibly historic summit on the Korean peninsula, and it looks like all smiles. They were relaxed, happy, and for good reason. They had previously officially ended the Korean War in April, and it looks like things were cooling down on the peninsula. There was a catch though. He agreed to, and has, taken down southern defenses on the DMZ. Barbed wire and tank traps have been removed, improving the potential of a northern invasion. But the North has yet to do anything. The author Gordon C. Chang writes in his book, Losing South Korea, that Moon Jae-in's highest priority is to reunify the Korean peninsula, even if that's accomplished on the North's terms. People are worried about the southern pullback of resistance to the North that occurred in 2018, and for good reason. Tara O of the Pacific Forum writes, Moon is not only leaving the door open, he is removing all of the windows and doors. The central issue of the September agreement that has everybody worried is the fact that it helps the attacker more than the defender. Which is true. When Moon landed in Pyongyang in September, he was greeted by over 100,000 Koreans, all cheering and waving flags. However, these crowds waved only two flags in particular: the flag of the North and the flag of the unified peninsula. This breach of diplomatic protocol is overlooked typically, but the flag of the South, the country he's supposed to be representing, was only seen twice in the 3-day visit, painted on his plane and on a lapel pin of the chairman of Samsung. This is a very niche detail, but it is an important sign of how the North-South affairs are conducted. Many also believe that the Kim at those summits was simply Kim in his charm mode. And you may be wondering what exactly a charm mode is, which is a fair question. So this brings us to... Kim, contrary to what many want you to think, is not as crazy as it seems. Written out in The Real North Korea by Andrei Lankov, he has a clear and concise plan that always works. Firstly, when North Korea wants something, anything at all, they'll manufacture tension. This could be from launching new missiles to a new bomb test, the glorious leader announcing his plans to destroy America, anything to get the people riled up. Now, after they have nearly brought a new war upon themselves, they decide to act nice, propose negotiations, and try to talk it out. Of course, since they are literally threatening nuclear war, they have a bit of leverage that they artificially created. They can use this leverage to get whatever they want, meetings with the president, lifting some sanctions, anything they'd like. After they've used that leverage to squeeze out as much as they can get, they retreat back into their hermit kingdom, only to be seen later when they do the same thing again. Honestly, as horrible of a person Kim is, it's a pretty genius plan, and the West, primarily the US, gives in every time. This isn't even a new thing. I'm sure the 2017-18 missile launching frenzy is still fresh in your minds. But North Korea promised to end their nuclear weapons program in 2005. To show you how long ago that was, here are some of the biggest hits. When Trump and Kim met in 2018, they agreed that the DPRK commits to work towards the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Let's see how that turned out. The denuclearization of the peninsula is most likely unobtainable. Even if the North doesn't plan on using them anytime soon, they'll still stop any foreign power from messing around with them, which is a great deterrent to allow the Kim's dynasty to be much longer than it should be. Yet, there is one thing, one very big thing that could bring the total downfall of the regime itself. The people of North Korea, in short, are suffering. The people toil in the fields all day, and those who are incredibly lucky toil in the concrete jungle of Pyongyang. They face imprisonment of themselves, their family, and their future descendants should they try to escape the country. However, the Koreans don't know that this is all that bad. The Koreans have been blind to the prosperity of the world and believe that they have it good where they are, so why should they ever want to leave? The bringing of information about how great it is outside the nation, could bring the inevitable downfall of the regime that we're all waiting for. Once enough people see how awful their living conditions are in comparison to the South, it's only a matter of time until Kim is deposed. A growing capitalist culture, hunger for information, and the passion of younger generations is stronger than any before them. These people could take down the brutal dictatorship. Even the military, who has sworn to protect Kim and country, will turn their backs on the regime should they find out the true state of their country. People are working today to bring this to a reality. Organizations like Flash Drives for Freedom have reached over 1 million Koreans with over 2.1 million hours of footage. This ranges from Korean soap operas to Korean versions of Wikipedia, and the magnitude of these cannot be understated. No matter how many times you look at the news and see that crazy fat man with nukes, you shouldn't worry. The Korean regime won't fall by force. It won't collapse with a fiery hellstorm of nuclear weapons. It will fall with the Korean Spring, which has the potential to begin anytime. You just watched a 14-minute video about North Korea, and you probably noticed that not all the drawings were done by me. I had the lovely Beast Process join me in animating this film, and he did some narration as well, so lovely for him. Thank you for watching, if you did. And if you fancy subscribing, go for it. It's up to you, of course, but I worked very hard, and you will certainly see more videos soon, so thank you.